Good evening. It's May 12th, 2016, and I'm your host, Rebecca Paganini. Welcome to the Local Live. A New York Post article suggests Mamaroneck is not a diverse community. Mayor Rosenblum fires back. New plans for Harbor Island. The details next. A Larchmont Holocaust survivor talks to MHS students. And this week, the Panthers show us their power in the LMC Varsity Play of the Week. A student has been denied admission to Mamaroneck District. Why? This and other local stories in our segment in the media. A new sculpture has been unveiled in the village of Mamaroneck. And F.E. Bellows Elementary School hosts its annual art show. Find out what you can expect from STEM-tastic Saturday. And get ready, LMC-TV Award Night is in 2 weeks. School budget votes are right around the corner. Let's hear from our local superintendents.
Tell us what you think. In person, over the phone, online. Watch and hear yourself on TV. You tell us, we air it. This is the Local Live.
If you tuned in last week, you heard about a controversy surrounding a possibly discriminatory housing practice in some Westchester towns and villages. A new wrinkle was added this week when a New York Post article labeled Mamaroneck as a leafy area and implied that it was an example of a homogeneous New York suburb. The article, which criticized the Obama administration's attempts to encourage diversity in wealthy suburbs, mentioned that the fair market rent for a one-bedroom apartment in New York City would be lower than rentals in suburbs such as Mamaroneck. The village of Mamaroneck, led by Mayor Norman Rosenblum, is fighting back. In an open letter to the editorial board of the Post, Rosenblum called the article exasperating and ironic and invited the board to review and reassess its claim. We'll update you with any developments as they arise. On Monday, the village of Mamaroneck authorized improvements to the Harbor Island Conservancy's plant and walkway around the gazebo at the intersection of Delancey Street and Boston Post Road. June Ottinger then spoke on behalf of the Conservancy in a presentation featuring an artist's rendering of the proposed update.
The drawing that you're looking at was done by Laura Heiss, and it's to show color-wise what the planting bed will look like that we are asking to create. And the plants are, of course, some that we've used in our other planting beds.
The Village Board of Trustees approved this project unanimously, and we should be seeing changes to the harbor come summer. If I would not tell the story, who would? That's what Salome Cape, a Holocaust survivor and Larchmont resident, told a group of 10th graders at Mamaroneck High School earlier this week. Wielding a pointer and a PowerPoint presentation, Cape told her story about life in a ghetto in a World War II Poland. English teacher Evan Madden spoke about the importance of exposing his students to these types of experiences, saying, "This is living history. I want my students to think about the fact that one day their kids will ask them about this. There are not many opportunities left to hear from Holocaust survivors." This afternoon, F.E. Bellows Elementary School wrapped up their annual K-5 art show. Run by art teachers Dara Goodman and Trisha Appel, this event was used to showcase student art in a number of different styles. According to Goodman and Appel, the arts are such a vital part of your child's education. We are thrilled to be a part of the source that propels these creative, well-rounded, global thinkers into society. The event was a great success, and we would like to congratulate everyone who participated. Eli Lederman has the news articles trending this week on our local online sources. Here's what's in the media.
The New York Civil Liberties Union has filed an appeal asking the State Education Commissioner to overturn a Mamaroneck School District decision which barred a new student from attending its high school. According to the district, the boy had already completed an equivalent high school education in his native country of Guatemala. The Civil Liberties Union, on the other hand, argues that the 16-year-old boy has only received a middle school education and does not have that high school diploma. The student's younger siblings were granted admission into the school district, while the student himself has been given a temporary status at New Rochelle High School. Read more at LoHUD. The Larchmont Playhouse Theater is set to close in September and is already drawing interest from several potential buyers. At least 3 groups have expressed interest in the Palmer Avenue location, each with a specific plan for the theater's future. All 3 unique plans are being pitched with the goal of sparking a revitalization in Larchmont's downtown area. Find out more about the specifics of each plan at LoHUD. Longtime therapists Joe Chass and Meryl Schaefer, recent retirees from the Mamaroneck School District, have started a new group for siblings of children with special needs. Named the Siblings Voice, the group is intended to get adolescents and young adults talking, writing, and thinking about their lives as brothers and sisters of children with special needs. Find more information at the Mamaroneck Daily Voice. One of the $3 million winning tickets in last Saturday's Powerball Lotto was sold in New Rochelle. According to the New York Lottery website, a ticket matching 5 numbers, but not the Powerball number, was purchased at New Rock Deli in New Rochelle. The owner of the winning ticket is yet to come forward. Read more at the Patch. Westchester County lawmakers Alfredo Williams and Ken Jenkins have proposed a new law to address the increasingly serious issue of cyberbullying. Under the proposed law, the county's Human Rights Commission would be charged with launching a public education awareness program and an anti-cyberbullying website, along with creating a toll-free cyberbullying hotline. To learn more about the proposal, check out the story at LoHUD. And lastly, outdoor dining may be coming to the Westchester Mall. An outdoor dining space featuring at least 7 new eateries is just one of the planned upgrades that will be included in the new Savor Westchester section of the White Plains Shopping Hub. According to the Simon Property Group, the renovation will be ready for the 2016 holiday season. Learn more about the mall's new additions at LoHUD. I'm Eli Letterman, and that's what's in the media.
We have our local trivia question up next, and don't go anywhere because after that we'll be talking about school budgets with our local superintendents.
Welcome to our roundtable, and tonight we focus on the school budget vote, specifically the Rye Neck school budget vote and the Mamaroneck school budget vote. But first, we have with us 2 guests from the Rye Neck schools. First is Dr. Peter Mustich from the Superintendent of Schools, and with him is Dr. Kimberly. Welcome to our roundtable, and tonight we focus on the school budget vote, specifically the Rye Neck school budget vote and the Mamaroneck school budget vote. But first, we have with us 2 guests from the Rye Neck schools. First is Dr. Peter Mustich from the Superintendent of Schools, and with him is Dr. Kimberly Bucci, who's the Assistant Superintendent for Business. Welcome to you both, and thank you for spending some time with us.
Thank you for having us.
The budget process for the schools starts a year before.
In August. The August before, actually. At our reorganization meeting, we start the budget process. It's a lengthy process, of course, that takes into account not only the programs, but what our goals and hopes are for the following school year.
And it also takes into account how much money you expect to get from Albany?
Yes, traditionally, districts around the southern Westchester area are getting less and less from Albany. Yes. We get less than 4% now from Albany, even though most of our taxpayers are paying a larger percentage of what's going to Albany, so we're receiving less and less. In fact, with the new gap elimination aid that we just received, we received a whopping $24,000. So we don't receive very much back from Albany.
That's a drop in the bucket.
Drop in the bucket.
Dr. Bucci, the tax cap.
Yes.
Dr. Mustich reported that as unreasonable and unfair, and I think you used the word ridiculous.
Yes.
At the recent summit meeting. Would you agree with that?
I would absolutely agree. As we enter into the 5th year of the tax cap, and Rhinebeck has not superseded the tax cap in any of those years, what you're seeing is an increasing pressure on the budget. This year, for instance, when we went through the multi-step formula on the tax cap, our district was allowed $117,000. That meant that we could increase our tax levy only $117,000 or 0.33%. When you look at the pressures on the budget and the increase in terms of contractual obligations, benefits, and things, it's not enough to continue. So for this year, what our district did was we lived within the cap. We're not surpassing the cap, but we did have cuts in areas and savings in areas that caused us to be under the cap, as well as we increased our reserve funds, our use of reserve funds, in order to close that budget gap.
The most important date coming up now, the budget has been approved.
Yes.
After, I believe, 3 hearings.
Yes.
Yes.
And the most important date is actually
May 17th.
May 17th
That's the next
is the vote.
Tuesday. Yeah, May 17th, from 7 a.m. in the morning to 9 p.m. in the evening, at the Rhinebeck Community Room.
There's one voting location.
One voting location on the high school, middle school campus.
And who can vote in Rhinebeck?
Any registered voter can vote in the Rhinebeck. They don't necessarily have to be registered with the school district. They have to be a registered voter within the county of Westchester. We have 5,500 registered voters, and if people are confused about whether they're registered or not, all they need to do is to call my office at the district clerk at 777-5200, Veronica Sessler, and she can easily check whether you're registered or not. People can also pick up absentee ballots. They're also online, so if they're traveling or away for business, they can pick up an absentee ballot, fill it out, return it back before 5 p.m. on the day of the vote, and they can participate in the vote.
Is it a good idea or a bad idea just to show up and find out if you're on the list?
It's easy to do if you're not sure, to simply call and find out. We can check with the county registry to see if you're on. You can call the county as well to find out if you're on. Most people, if they voted in a recent election, would be on, but they can easily check on that.
Now, I did listen to the summit, and you and Dr. Schaps both were sort of sad that the turnout for school budgets is usually rather low.
It is. We have 5,500 eligible voters, 6,500 residents in Rhinebeck, 5,500 eligible voters. It's pretty amazing that I would know all this detail, but as that becomes such an important ingredient for what we do every year, we had about 700 voters actually turn out. We only have 1 in 4 parents turn out to actually vote. So it's a very poor turnout. In the sense, I think the good news is that we're actually meeting the community needs and what the community wants.
People are satisfied.
And they're satisfied, so they're not coming out. The unfortunate side is that they're not participating or learning about what's going on with their particular vote. And I think that's imperative to figure out. Come, find out what's important in your vote, maintain the quality programs that we have in place.
Well, one of the reasons that I think you'd like more people to come out and vote is because you're forecasting even less aid from Albany with regard to mandates. And I guess full disclosure, I'm a retired educator, so I know what these mandates can cost a district. And the state requires you to do certain programs, but they don't fund them.
Correct.
And yet the taxpayers in Rhinebeck have to fund them.
Absolutely correct.
And where else do you get your money from? I mean, if not from the taxpayers or from Albany, not too many other sources.
Too many sources. We do have some federal grants, but as considered a wealthy district, we don't receive very much money in federal grants. And the problem with the formula that we receive as a Southern Westchester County district, it's based on property values. And here, since we have high density and high property values, we receive very little in the state aid formula. It hasn't been changed for hundreds of years, so we're stuck with a formula that really doesn't work anymore. Our legislators need to work on that formula and readjust it to accommodate the needs that we're seeing today. And you're absolutely right. More and more the state's requiring mandates that we must meet. And as a result of that, we have to look at programs that we'd like to offer and maybe choose not to be able to offer that. This year, for example, when we wrestled with the budget discussions all during the summer and throughout the fall and winter, the board wrestled with, do we eliminate program or do we put reserves toward this? And we have, in this particular budget, you will see that we put our largest reserve ever into our budgets. We put over $400,000 into our budget to accommodate this year's taxing situation. We felt it's important. We maximize program, and we try to understand the financial impact for the rest of the community as well.
So, Dr. Bucci, can you take us through the highlights of the budget?
Yes.
You actually increased expenditures. Now, all this is on the website.
Right.
And it's also in the newest edition of Value Education, which is published today, I believe.
It is.
And is going out to all the households in Rhinebeck area. So people will be able to get this information in print as well as on the web. So you increased expenditures over last year by $730,000, I
Right,
believe.
and that translates to 1.84% increase. And we've managed to maintain that such a small increase because we've had some decreases in our benefits area. For instance, we benefited from having lower amounts that we have to pay in terms of our pension system contributions. We've also made some reductions in our maintenance area. And in addition, the entire budget across the board had about a 5% reduction in materials and supplies. So in order to balance this budget, we've done a couple of things. One, we've increased our reliance on the reserve funds, which are funds that we've set aside for particular purposes, and we're bringing them back into the budget to close the gap. But also, additionally, we've sort of aggressively gone after every single budget line to find out, what we can do, what savings, we can accrue in those areas. And I think that this budget is reflective of the board's commitment to bringing in a budget that's lower, doesn't exceed the tax cap, for our taxpayers, but it's also responsive to our parents who are very interested in class size, keeping class size, similar, not, growing the classes, and we've done that. And we've heard from our parents repeatedly, some of the things that they value through some of the programs that we run and some of the committees that we run where we talk about, the fiscal challenges, the educational challenges. So I think the board and the district is very proud to bring this budget to the voters, which doesn't exceed the cap, which is a 1.84 spending increase, and I think positions us well going forward.
And what does it do to my property tax bill? If I'm a resident, and I am a resident of Rhinebeck, do I pay the same as last year or a little bit more, a little bit less?
So, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
For Rye Town, it actually decreases the tax rate by negative 0.90.
9.63.
9.63, and for Rye City, negative 0.40. So the tax rate increase is actually a decrease for next year for our residents. How that translates to your taxes, if you go onto our website, as we've done every single year, individuals can actually plug in their assessments and see what their actual tax rate, their taxes will be every year. But from the school district, we are lowering the tax rate next year for them.
So I'm going to save a little money.
Hopefully.
Good. Well, thank you.
But more importantly, you're going to have quality schools. And that maintains not only quality programs for the students that we're educating now, but for the next generation of students, but also it helps your property values, because we've seen repeatedly how people want to move to Rhinebeck, and as a result of wanting to move to Rhinebeck, not only for the quality of the village, the quality of the harbor, but also the quality of good schools. Good public schools are imperative for the quality of our district. We've also seen a growth in our enrollment over the last few years, and that's a direct result of younger families moving into our community. So we're seeing that as well. So even if you're not particularly interested in the quality of the public education, because you may not be benefiting from that by having a student in it, having your property value being maintained by the quality of the program is imperative as well.
Well, speaking about property values, they're going up.
Yes.
Has that helped with the school budgets?
It has, and some of that is what's reflective in terms of, the reassessment that happens in Rye Town. Rye Town is full value, and it's been full value since 2005. So what happens is each year people get updated assessments on their homes, and that's part of, what we're seeing in terms of the tax reduction of 9.63 in Rye Town. It's reflective of the overall tax base growth, as reflected in updated property values.
The difference between Rye Town and Rye City, is that because Rhinebeck serves two different communities, or is this because of the way Westchester is set up?
Yes.
Yes.
Long before all of this was determined, Rhinebeck, there is no center of Rhinebeck, as you well know.
Yes.
CVS is basically the center of town. So that becomes the center of town. But we serve both those municipalities, and we've served them since we've existed.
There are, I think, 38 districts in Westchester. somewhere
about
along
right.
those
That
lines.
sounds about right.
And hasn't Westchester sort of been held up by the governor's office periodically as, why don't you guys combine districts and
Consolidate.
consolidate? And I think years ago there was some move to see if Rye Neck would consolidate with Rye City, and then there was another move to see if Rye Neck would maybe join Mamaroneck.
Right.
None of that worked out.
Well, historically, Rye Neck is one of the oldest districts in the state of New York. In fact, one of the things that Rye Neck has that's unique is we have a 6-member board, which is an even member Board of Education. It's unusual. It pre-exists the actual law that says it must be an odd number now. So it's one of the oldest districts in the state of New York. As a result of that, it has served both these municipalities for years. So it has served both those municipalities just the way the district lines have been drawn. We went through a number of failed attempted marriages to Rye City and to Mamaroneck, the most recent of which was about maybe 40 years ago now. And at that time, there was a marriage between Rye Neck and Rye City. It did not work. Rye turned us down, and at that point, the Board of Education turned around and said, we're about to make sure that our school districts exist. We want to make sure that it's the best school district. We want to find our niche. They just worked on that and developed a plan of action that was going to find it, and it's served that district since then.
Well, would it be fair to then say that the taxpayer would not see a significant saving in taxes
Merger?
if there was a merger one way or the other?
I think, that tends to be a very challenging question to answer. We noticed that Rye Town just did an exhaustive study, the town of
Yes,
Rye,
exactly.
I think that we haven't looked at it in 40 years, and it's really hard to say at this point. And I think that more than anything, what we hear from our taxpayers and our parents is that they value the local control and they value the identity of each school. And that seems to be common across Westchester.
Yes. Well, that's one of the things you mentioned in the summit meeting. And by the way, for those people who, most people in the community were not at the summit because it's a breakfast meeting and it's held at the diner in Larchmont, I think it is.
Yep.
Actually, the official
Been on
address.
the list,
It is on LMC-TV, and I would urge you to take a look at it if you've got about an hour to spare. Very interesting. Dr. Mustich and Dr. Schatz, both
We had a
talking
good
about
conversation.
their school districts and the impact. The local legislators, you said, actually have a lot to do if they're going to try to get the state to fork over more money. Are they doing the job that you'd like them to do?
They've been working hard. Senator Latimer and Assemblyman Otis have been working very hard on our behalf. It's quite a challenge as we've gotten, I've been very involved in advocacy. It's quite a challenge to get the state moving in a particular direction. There are two very different factions. There's the city and the urban faction, which has a large percentage of the votes and the influence in the legislature, and there's the rural legislators that have a large impact on the legislature. I think the governor as well is very keen on a plan which talks about consolidation, talks about the increase in charter schools, and doesn't talk about the promotion of public schools in the state. But I know that, and we've been very fortunate to have Senator Latimer and Assemblyman Otis work with us. They've been wonderful advocates for us.
You also met the new education commissioner.
Yes, we have.
You were not impressed.
I have found that she needs to do a lot more work if she's going to understand the issues that we're facing. I am indeed disappointed in that she doesn't come forward with more conversation around public education and promoting that as a reality of what she needs to do. I would like to see both our commissioner and our Board of Regents join us in the advocacy effort to do more about funding some of the unfunded mandates that we now have in place.
And you're having a letter writing campaign?
There has been a letter writing campaign to the legislators during the session. So in an effort to get them to move, there were a number of trips to Albany. We actually created a bill that we had hoped that they would put into place. Unfortunately, it didn't make this. We realized that this is chipping at a stone. So we're working at this over a number of years now. We realized that we were going to reorganize our efforts, and our parents are doing it as well. And part of the opt-out movement has been an example of how parents feel about what's happening and the lack of local control that they have over their schools. So parents do want local control. They do want it. Remember, our Board of Educations are the most local government anyone has. We're responsive, they're visible, they're actually participants. Their students are either in our schools, they certainly live in our communities, they pay the same taxes. So our boards of education are really the center of what good local government's all about.
And of course, what's in play are the young minds, the next
Absolutely.
generation.
The next generation.
It can't be more important than that. Is there a bond issue this year?
We are contemplating a bond issue. What we're looking at is the needs of each of our schools, both from an enrollment and a space needs perspective, as well as a programmatic perspective. And to that end, we've identified, some areas where we think we can benefit from embracing the STEAM approach: science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And what we're looking at is proposing, is it an 8-classroom?
8-classroom addition on our middle high school. An addition at the elementary school on Bellows campus, that's 4 classrooms and a community and a common space. An addition to Daniel Warren and an addition to the gymnasium, in addition to all of the roof work in the building, in the district.
And this is still in the works?
Yes.
But this is not going to be part of May 17th?
No, it will not.
Okay.
No.
And more information is going to
Yes,
come
actually,
out on
yes.
that?
There'll be a community meeting on May 25 at our regular Board of Education meeting, where we'll be discussing this with the community.
Do you have any idea when that might be put to a vote?
It'll
looking at
probably be in
October.
the fall. Yeah, probably in the fall.
Okay.
This coming fall.
Elections to the
To the board.
Board.
School board.
also on May 17th?
Yes, correct. There are 2 candidates running for 2 open seats, so there's no challenged election. It's Pietro Fasolino, an alum of Rhinebeck, and Dan Wise, who's a resident of Rhinebeck. His wife's actually an alum of Rhinebeck.
You want to plug the people who serve on the board?
Yes.
They put in a lot of time.
A lot of time. They volunteer. It's an extraordinary, challenging position. We're very lucky that they're very hardworking, thoughtful, and deliberate in their decision making. Even though when we come to late night decisions, it's about what's right for students first, there's always the conversation around fiduciary responsibility. And I'm very proud of what they've been able to accomplish over the number of years that I've served with them. As I say, they're individuals who who actually put into action what we hope people would do in the community. They work every single month and every single day, really thinking about what's best for our schools, and they make a tremendous difference.
Dr. Bucci, last words. Are you hopeful about this year's vote?
We are indeed. We are indeed. I think that the district has put forth a budget that's responsive to the taxpayers as well as to our parents. It's a 1.84% increase over budget to budget, and we're blessed this year that we have the tax decrease based on the growth in the assessment of a decrease in Rye Town of 9.63 and a decrease in Rye City of 0.40 on the tax rate. So we have a history here of the community being very supportive of Rhinebeck. We generally have a passage rate in the 70s, even though we only have about 700 voters out. So we're looking for more of that community support on the 17th, and just would urge everyone to get out and vote on the 17th. But all the votes in the household, we'd like to see them all out.
One day, May 17th, 7 in the morning till 9 p.m. at the middle school, high school
Campus.
library.
Yep.
Parking is ample.
Yep.
And I know from experience,
Absolutely,
because that's
right,
my
absolutely.
community
Thank
and
you.
that's where I vote.
All right.
Thank you both for being here and
Thank you
sharing
so
that
much for having
information.
It's our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Schaap, for spending some time with us.
My pleasure.
At the recent local summit, you said that Mamaroneck schools are in good shape. How so?
Well, certainly early in the year, we were pleased to have tremendous support from our community for a capital bond referendum to improve our locker rooms and athletic facilities at the high school for PE and interscholastic athletics. That kind of really represents, in some ways, I feel, a commitment by the community, and also a very clear indication that they trust what we're doing and where we're going. I think to me, we are about teaching and learning. And I think a number of programs that we've put in place over the last several years are starting to take hold and take fruit, so to speak, in terms of seeing the impact on learning for students as we prepare them for the future. And so at the summit, we really focused on how are we organizing our schools to help students learn and prepare for a rapidly changing world. And so we think we've figured it out in some ways.
Now, on May 17th, voters in Mamaroneck are going to be casting a ballot, yay or nay, for a big budget. but it's a reduction of what you're spending this year.
Our actual recommended budget or proposed budget is lower than the current budget. And what's interesting is that, number one, we continue to see a pattern of increasing enrollment, growing about a little bit over 1% over the last several years. So we're adding more students, but our overall per pupil costs are going down. So it's
That's a bit of magic.
It is a bit of magic. I think it's challenged by our ability to grow. So our structural, or I think greatest challenge is how do we maintain and improve our school system, deal with the increase of number of students in our programs, but maintain lower costs because of the tax cap formula.
Now, I know you're proud of certain programs that have been initiated in the last few years, and you'd like to see them continue. I'll give you a chance to explain that in a minute. But so you're spending less money next year, and the tax rate is going down.
Correct.
So people will be paying less money per thousand evaluation?
That is correct.
Well, that's good news.
Yes.
Taxes going down.
Well, the estimated tax rate per thousand is going down. I want to clarify that I never want to promise something, given the fact these are estimates, and we focus in on our budget-to-budget increase in the actual budget, and not necessarily what the impact is on the taxpayer based on the tax rate.
One of the bugaboos with funding schools are state mandates that are requirements that the school districts provide, but yet are not funded by the state.
I would say we obviously, for us, we need to not only maintain, ensure that we're meeting all those unfunded mandates or the range of mandates that have come forward, but I think a perfect example is that in this year's budget we've added a 1.0 ESL teacher, English as a second language teacher at the high school, in direct response to, one, a number of students who are eligible for the services, but also because the state has changed the mandated number of minutes weekly instruction for students who are eligible for that service. So there are direct implications in terms of meeting regulations or mandates that hit home in terms of real expenditures. Certainly we need to provide for that type of program for students who need the service, but the change in the amount of minutes of instructions require more teachers to deliver that on that mandate, and that's a perfect example of real costs.
People also hear a lot about the tax cap. You've managed to stay under the tax cap.
Yes, absolutely. This, for the, I think, fourth or fifth year of the tax cap, we've delivered a budget that is under our the tax levy limit. And it's required us to actually reduce expenditures in order to get under the cap in terms of our ability to grow the levy. I think our greatest challenge is to really educate taxpayers that this is really not a 2% cap, that in our particular case, our ability to grow the levy is well under that 2% cap, no matter it's 0.74%. And so the formula, as it's constructed, is very limited in challenge, especially we've seen, obviously, because it's related to 2% or CPI, whichever is less. And in this particular case, there's a long or wide gap between 2% and CPI as a factor of growth.
Does that mean something for the taxpayer? Does that mean that they're getting a tax rebate?
Well, it's interesting. In the last two budget cycles, the state legislature has established an additional rebate for staying under the cap. However, this year, moving into our next budget, they have not identified a third consecutive year of rebate for any municipality or school district that stays below the tax cap limit, the levy limit. So where in the past, as of recent, eligible taxpayers have seen a rebate check come to them, there is no written rules as to how that would be applied going forward.
Okay, let's talk about some of the highlights. What are the programs that the Board of Education and your administration have managed to keep and grow?
Sure. Well, we're very excited that we have seen a tremendous interest and growth in our STEM-related subjects. And give you an
STEM,
example.
for those people who don't know it?
Well, and we don't even call it STEAM, but it's an acronym. We love using acronyms to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And we say STEAM in our neck of the woods only because we include art under that umbrella. But we have a vibrant computer science program and robotics program at our secondary level. This estimate this year, over 10% of our high school students are enrolled in computer science courses. We have this year introduced it in our grades 3 through 5 coding as an experience for all of our elementary schools students, and so in next year's budget we would like to introduce a middle school coding course with the hopes of really building a vibrant K-12 computer science program for all students. So,
You've also got something, music, in store for the middle school.
Yes, so our district and our community certainly values and appreciates this idea of music or fine arts as well. And so we wanted to ensure that every student goes through the 3 years, of middle school with some, what I would call seminal or certainly substance experience in music education. Mm-hmm. So through the generosity of American Schools Foundation, we wrote a grant for a technology-based music course, and our hope is that students will be able to compose and really kind of generate voice through music as part of their 8th grade experience. So we're excited about that. So the two programs between middle school coding and this new music course, it's very exciting.
And there's 6th grade computing program that's being introduced.
That is the coding course I mentioned that we're expanding and really pulling out of our middle school technology program. I also just want to mention that over the last several years, we've introduced elective pathway courses at the high school. A 4-year design program, a culinary arts program, engineering program, as well as a computer science. So part of this budget accounts for the expanded courses that will allow for these established pathways. We really believe that students need to go deep into these kind of exciting areas related to STEM or STEAM and be able to build a portfolio that they can use for college and or their professional endeavors. And so next year we'll have the 2nd year of our 4-year design course rollout. We'll expand our engineering program and expand our culinary arts program with the hope that by senior year there will be some form of capstone experience where students are connecting to a community organization, a regional organization, but really developing an authentic learning experience that is deep and of quality.
How else have you managed to save money?
Well, I think our formula for staying under the cap has been certainly accomplished in 2 ways. One, we've had to become more efficient in every aspect of our budget, our organization. So our mission is about teaching and learning. And so we prioritize and really protect the classroom experience and the programs that are associated with our K-12 school system. That being said, we are always looking for ways to improve or be lower costs. A perfect example in this budget is that we renegotiated our employee prescription plan and were able to realize significant savings that certainly allow us to kind of maintain the programs in our budget. So it's always about some staffing additions and reductions. We are eliminating, I think, over 15 positions as part of this budget. A lot of this is attributed to changing in student services for individual students, reductions or redeployment of staff, and also maximizing shared staff across the district. So instead of having staff that may be 3/4 scheduled or in one building, we are trying to maximize our scheduling without increasing staffing. So it is always about this eye towards efficiency, maximizing the staff that we employ, and finding some relative, I would say, savings in different areas of the budget.
There's also a vote for members of Board of Education on May 17th.
That's correct. We're fortunate in our community to have a district-wide selection committee that really is charged with identifying qualified and interested candidates. This year we have 2 candidates that they have endorsed through their process, and I know that we have an additional candidate that submitted papers, so we have 3 candidates for 2 open positions. As a superintendent who's about to complete my 6th year in Mamaroneck, I feel fortunate to work in partnership with just highly talented, committed members of the Board of Education. So I'm excited to think about who's coming on board next.
So where do people vote?
Well, all of our voting poll areas are in our elementary schools, so they're zoned for the ascending elementary schools. So that's Chatsworth, certainly Avenue, Murray Avenue, Mamaroneck Avenue School, and Central.
And the hours of voting are 7 in the morning, I believe, till 9
I believe that
p.m.?
is correct.
Okay. Do you have to have any special registration, or can you just walk in?
I believe you just would walk in, yes.
And show your identification as a
Yeah,
person who lives in the community?
Yes, as long as you register to vote, yes.
Okay.
That's true. And obviously there's an absentee ballot process as well.
One of the comments that you made at the summit was that you're disappointed that so few people who are eligible to vote actually take part in it.
Well, I have to say, I'm very proud of our, what I would say is commitment to teaching students about our democratic process. And as you know, this year, once again, high school social studies Joe Liberti took his AP US government students to actually engage in real politics as far as the trip to New Hampshire primary. And so we feel it's important as a community to model and act on our democratic rights and our commitment as to vote, and we see that as very important. So it's my hope that we'll have a good turnout and support for our budget.
And you've had good support for the last several years.
We have, knock on wood, been fortunate to see close to 79% support for our budget, which is one of the highest in Westchester County. And I think it reflects, again, a sense of transparency and fiscal management, and certainly a strong message about what we're about as a school system and belief in the schools.
Well, we're happy that you included the local live in your outreach efforts to let the community know what the budget is all about and where they can vote and when they can vote. And the information is all on the website, on the district's website, and there is also printed material.
Yes, there is, and we've recently sent out our budget newsletter to all of our residents, and we hope they're well informed and committed to the budget process.
And the district's website, for those people who don't know it, is?
It's
mamkschools.org.
Boy, you're really giving me difficult questions here, Mike. Thank you.
Well, thanks again for spending the time with us.
My pleasure.
I'll be voting on May 17th. I'm in the Rye Neck District.
Well, best of luck.
Thank you.
This week in sports, the Rye Neck softball team hosted a round-robin style tournament. Things were not going the Panthers' way in Game 2, but relief pitcher Elisa Rodriguez got two quick outs with one stellar play in the LMC Varsity Sports Play of the Week.
Hit right back at the Rodriguez. Doubles her off. Talk about getting out of a jam. Rodriguez with a great play. Well, 11-0 after 3.5 innings.
A new public arts initiative was launched in Mamaroneck last week with the unveiling of sculptures by artist Ernest Shaw.
Mamaroneck is about to get a little bit more artsy with the inauguration of the Ernest Shaw sculptures right here on Mount Pleasant Avenue.
On May 6th, the Village of Mamaroneck Arts Council, run by Solange DeSantis, introduced Mamaroneck's first public sculpture in front of the village police station. It is part of a continued effort to engage the community in the creative arts experience. Mike Rosenbaum shared with us his motivation to donate the art pieces.
Well, we thought that with Solange's leadership, we're trying to have more art in the village, and we thought that we would donate these, and hopefully either other people would donate outdoor sculpture, or we might have some funds to buy some sculpture. And really there was really no outdoor sculpture, unlike other small communities in Westchester.
Last fall, we held a visioning session, and we decided to build on the Arts Council's wonderful legacy and make art more visible to the community.
Why continue to support the arts? Why is that so important?
Well, the arts are as important as any aspect of life and the community itself. I mean, I can give you a direct parallel. When you go into a school system, And this is one thing that bugs me all the time when you have a vote on the budgets. If the budget's voted down, the first thing they cut out is sports and arts. Sports and arts are as important as math and English and everything else. It's part of your culture. And I think it's extremely important to do that. You don't want to live in a white bread, sterile society.
For Senator George Latimer, engaging the community and highlighting the importance of the arts plays a major role in making Mamaroneck a one-of-a-kind place to live.
There's a certain hard-to-define quality that makes Mamaroneck Village, or for that matter, Larchmont Village, Mamaroneck Town, special. And when you see examples of public art, that's a tangible expression of that commitment.
But what sets Mamaroneck apart and what makes it an example for other neighboring municipalities?
This village has been a model in many ways for other things. You see an active nightlife here now, a restaurant community that's exploded, the Mamaroneck block parties where Mamaroneck Avenue is closed, activities at the Harbor Island. It's attract people from other communities, and they go back to their communities and they say, I like what I see in Mamaroneck. Let's replicate this elsewhere. But there's only one Mamaroneck.
The efforts and commitments of the volunteers is what continues to make Mamaroneck the friendly village. For the Local Live, I'm Kat Galliano.
Hello everyone, I'm here with Margaret Koifer and Jill Bach of the STEM Alliance and Travis Sluss, local store owner and STEM educator. They have an event coming up at Hommocks Middle School on May 14th at 11 a.m. and they're here to tell us a little bit about it. Thank you so much for being here today, guys. Good to have you. I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about what STEM is.
STEM is an acronym that stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. And it's used very frequently today to talk about those disciplines because they are disciplines that are critical to everything we do in our world today and really where most of the jobs lie for current youth and in the future.
Awesome. And you're an alliance, you said. So you guys are a volunteer nonprofit?
Yes, that's right. This is an organization that started locally by some parents in the Mamaroneck School District and has spread much further than that since we began about 4 years ago. It is all volunteer and with a lot of dedicated help, a lot of great people who help out with this. So
while you were based originally in Larchmont or Mamaroneck, or started there, you are more far-reaching than just that area.
Yeah, we've got people from all over the Sound Shore area and up into Scarsdale and even White Plains, I guess, at this point. Portchester, Rye, moving into Greenwich, moving down toward Mount Vernon and Pelham. So this really is for everyone, the work that we're doing, and certainly the festival that we're here to talk about today is very much for the Westchester community and beyond. Anyone can come.
That is, yeah, it's open to the public. And I think what it really says is that, and I think Travis would speak to this as well as a local business owner, essentially our vision of using STEM skills to leverage those skill sets to find solutions in problem solving for today's problems and future problems is something that is really being discussed nationally, even up into the White House. And so our collaborations involve, as an alliance, working with national organizations like the Maker Initiative, and then also local businesses that are interested in connecting youth to these skill sets. And so what we try to do is not be the experts, but connect experts to our schools, to our students, and even to adults in the community who are hobbyists who are looking to improve in those areas.
So you guys are the middlemen.
Exactly,
Yeah.
the hub,
Awesome.
I would say, yeah.
And you came here from Greenwich, correct?
Well, our original store, 5 years ago, we opened in Greenwich, and we came to a wonderful Larchmont on Palmer Avenue about a year and a half ago. So I've been here for a year and a half. And through the Larchmont community and the Greenwich community and outwards, we teach about 200 kids a week in our stores and in schools, libraries, and events like STEMtastic Saturday.
Which STEMtastic Saturday, what we all want to hear about. Can you guys tell us a little bit about what that's going to entail?
Yeah, STEMtastic Saturday is a science festival, and some people ask why a science festival. And I think what's critical about it is, first of all, who doesn't want to go to a festival? Festivals are just fun. And what we find is that science festivals, which are increasing in number around the world and around the country, They are a place, first of all, for intergenerational learning, and so it's an opportunity for people to come together with their families and learn together. There really aren't very many people who can resist a festival. A festival is kind of a place that people want to be. But then it helps people who are already passionate about these subjects. It gives them a platform to present their materials. We have an exhibit hall. We have folks like Travis who work in this area and are educating people already, and they come and offer those skills at STEMtastic Saturday. And then also, it takes people who maybe are less certain about their interest in those subjects, and it gives those people an opportunity to engage with those disciplines in really, really fun and engaging festival-like ways. So you kind of have the people who are already there, and you give them there and interested, and you give them an opportunity to show off what they can do, and then you get people who really are unfamiliar with it.
One of the wonderful things about our festival, or any festival like this, is that we really give the kids an opportunity to be the experts also, from showing their work in the exhibit hall to being student vendors, and really encouraging them to be entrepreneurs on their own, bringing their own wares and activities to the table. For instance, I work with our robotics club and our robotics team at the middle school at the Homex, and our group is going to be both running activities that kids will be able to come in and touch and play with these Lego robotics EV3s, and we're going to have mazes and robot bowling for them to play with, and they're also going to be vendors and selling some really fun touch-do items that they can either do there or take home.
Oh, awesome.
And in fact, most of our vendors at the event come with things to do. So even if you're walking up to a vendor table, most likely there's going to be something to touch, do, learn about. And that's another wonderful aspect of the.
And Travis, I would love to be reminded what you're bringing again to this experience.
Well, we're going to be doing 2 different workshops. We're doing soldering. So soldering is that when you get that hot iron and you glue that basically that molten metal, and it makes the connections between components, electrical components. So they make a little stick figure out of solder and copper, and then they get to make a little badge that lights up, so they learn about circuitry as well. And then we're also going to be doing a Little Bits workshop, which are these module circuits that snap together. They allow you to prototype and make inventions really quickly. So there's not too much technology in your way. You could just get going and make things really quickly.
And that's what we love about this event, because it really is about constructivist learning. It's about, what he's talking about really with electronics is Ohm's law. But to sit down and put those circuits together in this modular way, you don't need to own that language, and you don't need to memorize a formula. You engage with material, and that learning is something that you can approach from a new direction later. And I would say our keynote last year was astronaut Catherine Heyer.
Wow.
She walked by Travis's soldering station and was blown away watching young kids, 10 years old, 12 years old, learning how to solder, and said, she pointed in the room and she said,
that they had.
the focus, and she said, keep that up. If you want to be an astronaut, you're going to need a lot of that.
Oh, that must have been so awesome for them.
It's really thrilling and exciting. This year we have a keynote, Bob Partington, creative genius, innovator, inventor, artist. He will be talking to the kids about working through failure. One of his slogans is measure once, cut twice. So he wants to talk to kids about pushing through failure. So when you come to STEMtastic, you'll have an opportunity to try things you haven't tried so that you can experience challenge.
Ah, that's so awesome. So you guys are creating kids who can actually help their parents with computers when they're like, what is this? I'm always like, I don't know.
Yes,
that's right, and also giving the parents an opportunity to see what it is that these kids are so involved in and so interested in when they're coding on their computers or doing Minecraft or going to a class at Mac and Spars. They get to be there with them at this festival, try it themselves, learn a little bit about it themselves.
And that helps them connect.
And
really
understand
important.
why their children are passionate about those kinds of activities.
Right. And if you want information about our event, you can go to our webpage, which is lmstemalliance.org, standing for Larchmont Mamaroneck, lmstemalliance.org. It is a ticketed event, but as a nonprofit, we work incredibly hard to do outreach. So we have free tickets available. Anybody can contact us via our website. If they have members in the community who have need. And we have folks coming from all over, because that's another thing too, is that access to this type of learning needs to be given to everyone. And so that's another very important element of the festival platform, is opening up the doors, giving people an opportunity who may not be able to access high-level classes or other types of opportunities.
Right, which is really important. So no excuses. We'll see you there. Well, thank you so much for being here, guys. I'm so happy to learn more about STEM. This is their third running or fourth running successful year?
Our third year. Thanks to people's support and donations. I mean, we really cannot do it without the support of the community, without partners and participants like Travis. But we need your support. We need your support by coming. We need your support by providing activities and experiences and saying that it matters.
Definitely. So we will see you guys May 14th at 11 a.m. until 5 p.m., correct?
That's correct.
At Homix Middle School. Where in Homix Middle School?
We take over the whole building. Outside. We have live animals, 3D printing, robotics,
big
origami,
Lego zone,
zones, Kiva plank building areas, you name it. We take over the entire campus.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Thank you so much again, guys. This was great.
Thank you for having us here.
Of course, yeah.
You're watching The Local Live, the only news show on Larchmont and Mamaroneck on LMC-TV.
Every year, LMC-TV celebrates the efforts of their volunteers by awarding their best work. Now it's time to show you the nominees for the LMC-TV Award Night.
It's that time of year again, time for LMC-TV to honor our producers and volunteers at our annual awards night, Wednesday, May 25th at 7 p.m. at the VFW on Boston Post Road. This year, we honor State Assemblyman Steve Otis and Mamaroneck High School teachers Joseph Liberti, Evan Madden, and Emily Dombroff, along with their students who covered the New Hampshire primaries. And now for our nominees. In the category of Best Videography or Editing for a Community Production, Larchmont 125th Street Fair and Arts Festival, Lisa Curley, Andrew Weslovsky, Matt Bildzak. Village of Mamaroneck Spooktacular 2015, Zach Brody Stewart. Kiwanis Annual Car Show 2015, Matt Bildzak and Andrew Weslovsky. Village of Larchmont Memorial Day Parade, Xavier Campo. Antique Show, Mamaroneck Schools Foundation, Jeremy Wallman and Kobe Hilleli. The nominees for Best Single Program are Thunder Eyes, produced by Sarah Velezquez. STEMtastic Saturday, a talk with NASA astronaut Captain Catherine Heyer, produced by Meg Kaufer.
And we even have programs that certain teachers from across the country are invited to participate.
The Westchester Chordsmen Chorus, a cappella festival at Mamaroneck High School, produced by Stephen Bartell. Genocide, produced by Lamar J. Wingster.
The other thing I do is
Antique Show, produced by the Mamaroneck Schools Foundation. The nominees for Best New Series: Give and Take, produced by Cecily Greaves. Scriptly Adapted, produced by K.O. Howard and Kate Knowles. Spoiler Alert, produced by Eli Worth and Dina Schumacher. In the category of Best Series, the nominees are Scriptless, produced by Alan Bendich. Rob Saru Live, produced by Rob Saru. Mamaroneck United Methodist Church, Michael Hockhauser. Inside Iona, Michael Witch, Nadine Cosby, and students. And now the nominees for The Local Live, our nearly all volunteer-run news program. In the category of Best Videography for a News Package, the nominees are Boat Safety by Andrew Rio, Harbor Party by Mike Fedorovsky, The Face of Hunger by Brenda Blanco, Estelle Gourmet by Zach Brody Stewart and Vera Lucia Quispe, Masa Coastal by Zach Brody Stewart. Here are the nominees for Best Editor of a Local Live News Package. On the Set, The Rascal by Andre Gordon, Fireman's Parade by Zach Brody Stewart, Open Door School-Based Health Center by Philippa Wharton. The Face of Hunger by Brenda Blanco. Hanukkah on Ice by Andre Gordon and Jack Wells. And finally, the nominees for Best Overall Local Live News Package: Rocket Compost by Rebecca Paganini, Boat Safety by Marcella Milder, Wine Trail by Sibylla Chipaziwa, Estelle Gourmet by Kat Galliano, The Face of Hunger by Brenda Blanco. Visit LMC-TV.org to vote for LMC-TV's Varsity Sports Play of the Year. The nominees are Galliano lifts the Panthers in OT, Mackey saves, Knowles scores a championship, Heaton's Heave beats the buzzer, Houghton's hops are twice as nice, Spiro saves a state title. You can vote for your favorite LMC-TV Varsity Sports Play of the Year on our website, lmctv.org. And you can also go there to find more information about Award Night, Wednesday, May 25th. I'm Mike Witch, and I'll be your host that evening. Good luck to all those nominated, and I hope to see you there.
Sadie is a beautiful jet black sweetheart, about 5 years old, who loves to roll over and get her tummy rubbed. This lovely kitty is gentle and affectionate, a true lady. We think she will do best in a household with 1 or 2 adults who can give her the attention she deserves. To adopt Sadie or any of her friends, visit www.ny-petrescue.org. Remember, if you'd like to keep us on the air, support our program by checking out the website at www.lmctv.org and clicking on the donate button in the upper right corner. We really appreciate any contribution. And we are always welcoming new interns and volunteers, so send your emails to thelocallive@lmctv.org and join us. We love hearing from you. Thank you so much for watching this episode of The Local Live. See you next week. Keep watching. Spoiler alert is next.
The local live, give my pet ostrich